Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal Algérie. I'm your host, Maysa Doumaz. To the headlines. A new geostrategic policy to protect Algeria is ensured by the National People's Army, always siding with the Algerian people in dire circumstances. A new electronic platform is launched by the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance Ayman bin Abdurrahman, to ensure a better interbank service for citizens. And the situation is still unstable in Morocco as massive daily protests and marches are held in several cities of the kingdom to denounce the Makhzen policy. Those were today's headlines. First in our news, in its national defense policy, the new Algeria is keen to ensure holding its leading geostrategic position while spearheading strategic cooperation in the fight against terrorism, as well as stability at its borders. Ines Killu has the details.
The Supreme Security Council constituted an important link in the activities of the President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense, related to the national defense policy, during which he took important decisions that were translated by the outstanding ability of the People's National Army institution in ensuring the stability and security of the country and protecting national borders from potential threats amid an unstable regional environment, through the operational readiness to decisively foil the enemy's plans. It was stated in the speech of the President of the Republic that the army is the pillar and the foundation of the state, and if the enemy wants to harm the state, he targets his army to take away its protection, because he knows that the army is one that guarantees the cohesion of Algerians. Scientific competence and solid field experience are the characteristics of the National People's Army elements and officers, and the result of the training program and the balance of accumulated experiences. They are graded in the ranks and leadership tasks, and it is a source of confidence that the President of the Republic carries on them. The President of the Republic also referred to the category of young people in the Army staff, including generals whose ages range between 40 and 44 years, and the Army's adaptation to the current situation, which is keen to provide tasks to the youth category. The military schools in this regard have reached advanced levels in various fields and specializations, working to train elite graduates of competence officers instilled with the values and principles of the eternal November Revolution, an experience that has made Algeria export its expertise to brotherly and friendly countries. In the speech of the Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Saïd Chingriha, it was stated that the National People's Army has made significant progress in terms of modernity, development and professionalism, and this was the result of the efforts made at various levels and fields, including the very important field of training, which has passed to a remarkable development in the training of its students in the various schools of the National People's Army in general and the Military Academy of Shershel in particular. During his supervision this year of the graduation ceremony at the Academy in Shershel, the President of the Republic was honored for his efforts in modernizing military schools. And in the field of military cooperation, Algeria is a valuable partner for countries in the field of security and military coordination due to its position and pioneering experience in the fight against terrorism, which makes it a strategic ally. And this was improved by the mutual visits of high-level military delegations to discuss regional developments and partnerships in the military industries. A policy that translates a visionary and forward-looking view that keeps pace with the technological, security and geopolitical developments.
The National People's Army's defensive role was showcased in various instances while holding to a growing humanitarian involvement and consolidating a national unity which stands out in adversity. More details with Rania Al-Bahri.
The National People's Army is at the utmost readiness to defend every inch of this country on land, sea and airfields and against virtual confrontations within the fourth generation wars. During this year, our country witnessed the most severe fires that surprised the citizens in Tizi Ouzou province and in separate parts of the country. The People's National Army extended its hand to the citizens in need. They presented the most beautiful pictures of unity, solidarity and cohesion between the army and its people. The army provided all human and material means to extinguish the fires with the latest logistical equipment. The purity of the soul and sincerity of these brave people who are present in several fields support the national efforts in health security so that the vaccine is available to all citizens. The national vaccination campaign against COVID-19 reached even the remote areas and nomads through convoys of military doctors, which roamed the desert valleys and mountain peaks, which are the same peaks that the army units reach, accompanied by heavy equipment and means in the winter to break the isolation, remove the snow and deliver supplies to the affected people. This is the invisible side of the human dimension of the National People's Army, which stands for the will of its leadership and its members who do not fail to protect the people of the country and fight organized crime and terrorism, which has taken many forms and are keen to secure the borders of the whole country and preserve its territorial integrity.
The long-awaited agreement was finalized on Thursday between Algérie Post and the Economic Interest Grouping of Electronic Banking and the Company of Automation of Interbank Transactions and Electronic Payment. This agreement will allow more than 10 million electronic payment card users to benefit from online payment services. The ceremony took place in the presence and under the oversight of Prime Minister, Minister of Finance Ayman bin Abd al-Rahman.
بهذه المناسبة التي نعتبرها محطة أخرى.
This is just another step among many taken before to assess the implementation of one of the commitments provided for in the government's action plan for the application of the President of the Republic's program. It is worth recalling that in order to concretize commitments in their economic aspect, the government has granted a major importance to the question of the development of electronic payment by placing it at the center of its actions, aimed at securing and modernizing exchanges between economic operators, as this approach falls within the framework of a comprehensive approach aimed at accelerating the pace of digital transformation, taking advantage of advances in information and communication technologies to ensure their optimal use as a source of both growth and development.
Later on, Prime Minister, Minister of Finance Ayman bin Abd al-Rahman attended the signing ceremony of the agreement to launch e-payment services within the framework of the interoperability between Algérie Post and the Interbank Network. The agreement was signed by the General Director of the Economic Interest Grouping, the General Director of Algérie Post, and the General Director of Interbank Transactions and Automation Company. The details with Manal Ammari.
This new agreement supplements the interoperability of electronic payment systems between Algérie Post and the Interbank Network by offering online payment services through cards obtained from the post office or the bank to over 10 million users. The ongoing development of digital economy and electronic payment will ensure the success of the state's efforts to absorb the money supply and circulation in the informal economy sector.
كل المتعاملين الاقتصاديين لنحثهم I would like to invite all economic operators to take advantage of the opportunities offered by existing infrastructures in Algeria in order to offer their products or services available for purchase to their customers on their online platforms. These operators can be paid via the internet and reach the 10 million Algerian users of electronic payment cards from the post office or the bank.
Electronic payment transactions increased from 3.3 million operations in 2020 to over 6.3 million in 2021, with circulating amounts exceeding 8 billion dinars versus 4 billion dinars in 2020. The program, which was drawn up by the government to accelerate the modernization process of the systems, provides for over 16 million payment cards to be operational by 2024, in addition to more than 10,000 commercial online services.
Prime Minister of Finance Ayman bin Abdurrahman oversaw on Thursday the official launch of the electronic portal dedicated to public procurement, a platform which guarantees a greater respect for the principles of access to public procurement while ensuring quality between tenderers and transparency of procedures. This portal aims to gradually replace physical media with electronic files.
It is in accordance with the government's work plan and in application of the instructions of the President of the Republic given during the government meeting that the electronic portal dedicated to public procurement constitutes a platform to ensure the transparency of public procurement procedures. This reflects the will of the government to set up a digital administration and achieving transparency in its procedures and the fight against corruption. It is important to stress that the launch of this electronic portal has become a necessity, and now it is a reality thanks to the political will and the commitment of public authorities to reinforce the transparency of their transactions in all fields, with all administrations and public companies required to proactively introduce all their public procurement programs through this portal. This will allow for more transparency and public control, and would also allow all operators to schedule their access into public applications.
The Minister of Justice Abdelrashid Tabbi chaired on Thursday at the Magistracy Higher School here in Algiers the proceedings of an interministerial commission for the coordination of social reintegration activities for inmates. This seminar, attended by members of the cabinet and representatives of the social society, is meant to discuss the best ways of reintegrating the detainees in social life via a series of measures. To this effect, the Justice Minister highlighted the enormous efforts made by the different state institutions to secure a better social and professional integration of this category, which needs more help and better care. In the parliamentary activity, the Vice President of the Council of the Nation, or Upper House of Parliament, Benay Ahmed, held a plenary session devoted to oral questions of members of the Council pertaining to the sectors of vocational training, water resources, labor and environment. Two COVID-19 updates now: 293 new confirmed cases of coronavirus, 189 recovered, and 8 deaths were recorded in the last 24 hours, according to the Ministry of Health. In Morocco, a wave of demonstrators has been taken into the streets of the Moroccan kingdom for several weeks now to remind of the position of the Moroccan people, majority of which are not only demanding social justice, but most importantly are not in favor of the normalization of relations with the Zionist entity. Rania Al-Bahri has the details.
Our battle will continue until the cancellation of military cooperation agreements. It's under this slogan that sit-ins were organized across 38 Moroccan cities. It's for the demonstrators to express their rejection of the normalization policy with the Zionist entity. In response to the call of several organizations, at their head the Moroccan Front of the Support of the Palestinian Cause and Against Normalization, which had called for a massive participation in these protest actions in various Moroccan cities, and this within the framework of the fourth day of protests against the normalization agreement with the Zionist entity, concluded a year. Thus, the regime revealed its disrespectful nature of imperialism and Zionism, its betrayal of the Palestinian cause, its geographical, historical and cultural depth and extension, and the transfer of its secret and semi-secret of historical relations with the Zionist enemy to the public and open space. The Interior Ministry is under the misleading slogan, Taza before Gaza, and the truth is that the Mahzen regime denied and betrayed the Palestinian cause and was never in the service of our people, but in the service of the ruling classes. The front lingered in its appeal to the Moroccan people on the context of the resurgence of the Zionist tyranny in the Palestinian territories, as well as the surge of the dangerous escalation considered as a violation of sovereignty, particularly through the signing of military and intelligence agreements. A protest action was also organized by the Moroccan Front in front of the parliament in Rabat, despite repression which marked the previous actions, denouncing the visit of the Minister of War of the Zionist entity, faced with the media blackout imposed by the Mahzen against the protest movements. The organization has decided to proclaim December 22nd as a national day against normalization in all cities of Morocco. The organization also intends to increase the demonstrations until the Mahzen abdicates and renounces its agreements with the Zionist entity.
The international isolation of the Moroccan occupier is increasingly growing. The American Congress has restricted the U.S. financial aid granted to Morocco in the context of the multilateral military exercises. An event rich in educational activities has been held for children in Janet province with the purpose of teaching youngsters more about the history of the region and its heritage. Details with Leticia Sadqawi.
Various workshops were organized in Janet in order to teach children the history of the region and their heritage, and so that they learn more about the trades and crafts of their ancestors.
Thanks to the activities offered, I was able to learn a lot about my region. I learned a lot here. We have on the program several workshops such as drawing and weaving. All these activities will allow these children to discover and understand the value of each craft proposed.
During this event, the youngsters of the region also had the right to a rich educational program.
It is very important for us to pass on all our knowledge to this young generation, as well as the importance of the heritage.
An unforgettable day for these children who participated in this event, which transmits a strong message about the importance of teaching the younger generation about our heritage.
That was it for our news edition. Thanks for tuning in to our program. Good night.